Support for WAMU's live stream comes from the Entertainment Software Association. 79% of adults agree that video games bring people joy. More positive effects are in the 2024 Essential Facts Report. The ESA.com/facts.
Indoctrination with ideologies. No material or teacher can encourage discrimination or teach that one race is better than another. The law also prohibits critical race theory without defining the term. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders says Arkansas needed the law, which is similar to others passed in some Republican legislatures.
Our goal is never going to be to teach kids what to think, but how to think.
The law says students are allowed to learn about ideas, history, and matters of the day. And that, Walz said, is what AP African American Studies does.
With the institution of slavery, slave codes, the Jim Crow era, lynching, police brutality, the prison industrial complex.
Walz continued to teach her class this school year, but only as an elective. And student Sadie Bell Reynolds, who is white, appreciates the lessons.
We already know slavery was a big part of America and some of these African American points of view, but it's just like, why not dive deeper into it? Why do I have to go on TikTok or Instagram or on Google to learn more about this stuff?
After cutting the AP class, the Department of Education said it needed to review the curriculum to make sure it adheres with state law. It reinstated the course as a full AP class after Walz and others filed a lawsuit in March. Education officials say the timing is just a coincidence. Walz says the law still needs to be challenged in court.
There are a lot of topics, of course, with issues of race that are sensitive. So we often wonder how deep into the subject we can go.
The goal of the lawsuit is to strike any limits on the teaching of race, says attorney Mike Lowe.
I think it's poorly written because it's supposed to be vague. It's supposed to be inscrutable, and it's supposed to chill.
Last month, a federal judge said the law does not limit speech, but did issue a preliminary injunction that applies only to Walz and another teacher in the lawsuit. He said teachers in Arkansas are allowed to bring up topics that could be classified as critical race theory while the lawsuit goes forward. For NPR News, I'm Josie Lenora in Little Rock.
He's been called the, quote, dad of the city of Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp is the manager of one of the biggest soccer teams in the world, Liverpool Football Club. He has also charmed the city.
Now his time with this team is coming to an end.
I will leave the club at the end of the season.
Klopp announced his departure in January.
There'll be a lot of tears around Anfield this weekend.
Kiva O'Neill is a soccer writer for The Athletic. She's from the Liverpool area. The team's final game of the season is this Sunday.
We're still fans in disbelief and think that on Sunday he's going to turn around and say, I'm not leaving. And that's the hope.
Klopp's been in this job for almost a decade. When he arrived, the team had low morale, and he turned that around. Under his direction, the team won their first English Premier League in over 30 years. The city embraced him with a fierce adoration.
He's just become an honorary Scouser, which is the term used to call people who are from Liverpool. He's become part of the city in more ways than just being a manager of a football team.
Klopp worked to sculpt Liverpool into one of the most competitive teams in Europe.
The game that maybe encapsulates Jurgen Klopp's time at Liverpool best would obviously be the comeback in the semi-final of the Champions League at Anfield against Barcelona in 2019.
Jurgen Klopp celebrates. Still lots of work to do, but it's Liverpool 1, Barcelona 0.
Part of Klopp's appeal is that he's a regular guy. He grew up in a working-class part of Germany, and that's something this town relates to. And Klopp says the affection's mutual.
It's wonderful to know that I spent a big time of my life here. I don't imagine that the club will need my help in the future, but if the city needs me, I'm there.
Jurgen Klopp has yet to announce his plans, whether he'll manage another team, but he has said he will not coach another team in England. Nope, he's Liverpool through and through.
You're listening to All Things Considered from NPR News. Thanks for listening to WAMU 88.5. I'm Tamika Smith. Glad to have you here on this Friday afternoon. Coming up in about 15 minutes, you'll hear about a Texas man who filed a legal petition after his former girlfriend had an abortion out of state. Now, some experts say the move's confusing, especially for those traveling for an abortion.
this can be quite a terrifying event, right? You're being forced to appear for a deposition in front of a lawyer who describes you as a murderer.
The full story just ahead in about 15 minutes here on WAMU, and then later on tonight on Marketplace.
Banks want new customers for their credit cards, of course. Consumers, sure, but businesses too.
The small business space, less than half of small businesses are actually using credit cards on a regular basis.
I'm Kai Rizdal, Visa, MasterCard, and how to choose. Next time on Marketplace.
Listen tonight from 6 to 6:30 on WAMU.
Support for WAMU comes from our members and from Enbridge, a diversified energy company that's grown from a single wind farm to 45 facilities in operation and construction, with billions invested in renewable and lower carbon solutions. Enbridge.com. And from Maryland's Smith School of Business, where executive MBA students learn to leverage emerging technology and develop strategic decision-making. More at go.umd.edu/professional. And from EYA. For more than 30 years, EYA and its affiliated companies have been developing new modern homes that offer life within walking distance across Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Northern Virginia. More at EYA.com.
Support for NPR comes from this station and from Indeed, designed to be an end-to-end hiring solution for businesses of all sizes to attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one platform. Learn more at Indeed.com/NPR. From Procter & Gamble, maker of Metamucil, a fiber supplement containing psyllium, a plant-based fiber for trapping and removing waste in the digestive system, designed to be taken every day. More at Metamucil.com. And from the Doris Duke Foundation.
This is All Things Considered from NPR News. I'm Juana Summers.
And I'm Mary Louise Kelly. Almost 100 people are suing the state of Illinois, claiming they were abused by employees while they were in juvenile detention. This is the latest in a string of legal cases around the country alleging sexual misconduct at youth detention facilities. NPR criminal justice reporter Meg Anderson is here to tell us more, and a warning, this story does contain a description of sexual abuse allegations. Hey, Meg.
Hey, Mary Louise.
Okay, so I just said this is a string of cases around the country. Where exactly, and what do they allege?
Yeah, so there have been lawsuits in at least 4 states, including the one filed in Illinois last week. Since just the start of this year, hundreds of people have sued in Illinois, but also in New York City, New Jersey, and Maryland. And this week, the U.S. Department of Justice launched an investigation into youth detention centers in Kentucky. They're looking at whether the state has protected kids from violence and sexual abuse there. And outside of that new probe, these lawsuits allege pretty similar things, that men and women were sexually abused by state or city employees when they were children, and that the abuse happened over decades. And their claims are very troubling. Some say that they were raped, others say they were forced to perform oral sex or were inappropriately touched. Most of the plaintiffs are unnamed, but a few of them, including Jeffrey Christian, did speak at a press conference last week in Illinois.
I wish I could have used my time in the system to grow and change through the discipline and support of the staff around me. Instead, I was sexually abused and neglected. I learned at a too young of age that the system wasn't going to make me a better man, just hurt me.
So according to the lawsuit, his mother reported the abuse to the warden, but no one followed up. And I reached out to the Illinois Department of Juvenile Justice. A spokesperson there pointed out that the alleged abuse happened under past administrations and that they take youth safety seriously.
Okay, but a question, Meg. Why all these lawsuits in different parts of the country? Why are they all popping up now?
Yeah, so essentially the new lawsuits are possible because the laws in these states, and actually several other states too, have changed. They are now giving victims in child sex abuse cases more time to sue. Last year, for instance, Maryland removed the statute of limitations altogether on child sex abuse cases. Here's Jerome Block. He's an attorney for the plaintiffs in several of the lawsuits.
What these laws recognize is that it often takes years or even decades for a person to be ready to come forward And these new laws are really giving them